Hey, friends, welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name. As you can see, we have our friend Lay joining us today, and that kind of rhymes, but I'm not a rhymer. Guess what? I am also the host of Show Me the Collectibles, where you get to come on and show off your collectibles. Now, it doesn't have to be wrestling related, but if you have collectibles and you want to show them off, hit us up on Friends of the Squared Circle or Show Me the Collectibles on Facebook, and we can talk those collectibles. Lay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. We're finally near getting this down, and we're getting the interview, so I'm pretty excited.
Right. Thank you so much for having me first off. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
don't thank me. I found the superstar out there, and I'm excited to get you on. I know I've watched your TikToks, I've watched your lives. You know what you're doing. I'm still like I've been doing this a year, but I'm still trying to figure out tips and tricks. So
Well, I got a background in mass communication and I
okay,
work in multimedia as a multimedia specialist. So I do a lot of
gotcha.
editing, filming every day. But don't trust me, I'm still learning. And more than likely, if you see something, even if it turns out good, I'm winging it. So
Gotcha. So we'll just dive into it. What are some of those first earliest wrestling memories that you have?
oh goodness. I got into wrestling because my dad and my maternal grandparents watched wrestling all the time. My
Okay.
dad had VHS tapes with old WrestleMania episodes, so I was exposed to like the golden era and
Okay.
second into Attitude. So we watched a lot of Macho Man, Hogan, Road Warriors, Ric Flair, and then it just took on from that, and we would watch the Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Wars. Goodness, I remember playing dolls like by the chair
Mhm.
when Hogan switched to the
Okay.
NWO, and I
Okay.
remember throwing my dolls down because it was like, oh, not Mister Say Your Prayers and eat your vitamins. So I've been a wrestling fan even before I realized that I was watching wrestling. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I had discovered it through video games, magazines, those VHS tapes. I always joke how kids are so lucky today that they can just pull it up on their phone. If I wanted to watch a pay per view, I had to wait for highlights on the following Raw. And if I didn't get to watch the Raw, I had to like ask people that I knew that watched it because they didn't have the instant access to go back and watch everything. So, was there anybody that stood out as your favorites early? I know you mentioned Macho and Hogan and that. I can see the Macho shirt there, but was there anybody that really stood out in those earliest days?
well, again, Hogan, because that's my overall fave.
Okay.
Um, stand out. Oh, The Rock, Triple H,
Okay.
of course. Um, as a woman, I was really into the divas. So Jacqueline, Lita,
Hmm.
Trish, Daphne from WCW,
Hmm.
Woman, um, Miss Elizabeth, Miss Elizabeth, and Sensational Sherry
Hmm.
on my Mount Rushmore of
Yeah.
just women in sports entertainment. Those two really shaped a lot of my interest in wrestling as well. Just watching
Hmm.
them, even though they're two totally different
Right.
personas, because Sensational Sherry was so boisterous and out there and just raw in your face, and
Hmm.
Miss Elizabeth was so refined and elegant and sweet and quiet, but she still had some kick to her, and that's what I liked about her
Hmm.
too.
Yeah. Uh, so I have to ask a sidebar question here. Who would you pair those two up with today? I know we put the post on Facebook about a week ago now, but who would you put them with today's current talent?
Oh, okay. Sensational Sherry would be good, probably with someone who not a really big speaker. You know what? I can see her with the Miz
Okay.
because she all like look at how she did with Shawn Michaels.
Hmm.
Always takes those conceited characters and she adds to them by being that um vivid arm candy.
Mm-hmm.
and she'll help. And the Miz is, well, I guess he's in a baby face heel type
Mm-hmm.
era, but especially heel Miz, I could see her cheating all the time, helping him
Mm-hmm.
out, winning matches. Now, Miss Elizabeth, on the other hand, mm, that's a good one.
The nice
I
thing is that there's so many superstars now
uh,
versus just the one company that you have to kind of pick with. I know some friends of mine have said that, if Otis had Sherry or, Miss Elizabeth, both ways would just go phenomenal for him because, he's got the arm candy or he's got the aggressive female that's going to help him get things done. And
yeah,
we're huge Otis fans here at Friends of the Squared Circle. I know you're new to Friends of the Squared Circle. I crashed his mom's birthday party. I got to meet him a few times here in town,
ooh,
and he's such a cool guy. I guess he's exactly like he is on TV is how he was in school. So
okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's not stalking. It's not stalking. I want the internet to know it's not stalking.
Well, actually, that makes me think about this article that I just wrote on LinkedIn about. Well, I know you really didn't touch on social media, but since I work with managing social media sites and things like that, my interest is how social media and wrestling have merged together. Because
Hmm.
at one time, wrestlers had to be in their persona when they were out and about 24/7. If you
Yep.
saw the Taker at the gas station, his eyes were rolling in the back of his head. He had on the all black with the purple on the
Hmm.
inside. But now I'm loving how social media is allowing wrestlers to extend on storylines and how it's allowing wrestlers to actually show themselves outside of work and build their own personal brands. But I
Right.
know, for instance, with the whole Drew and CM Punk thing and how he posts about the trids exercises, like stuff like that, just seeing it
Hmm.
on Twitter or TikTok or something while you're scrolling, I really like that transparency in the continuation of storylines. So you don't necessarily have to wait till a Monday or Wednesday
Hmm.
or Friday to, engage with the storyline.
The other thing that, like you said, with the social media, kind of gives you more in, like you said, in depth of who they are. I jokingly said on a future episode that we'll have out about how I feel like I'm in the cool group now because I'm the wrestling fan, and all the wrestlers have cats. A lot of the independent wrestlers have cats, and then I just happened to see Drew McIntyre, with his cat videos, and I'm like, I'm in the cool club for once. I'm not just the weird guy with the beard and the wrestling podcast. I'm the cat dad. Like so. It's so funny how many wrestlers have cats. And Stone Cold Steve Austin just posted a video of himself with a cat. My buddy Randy, who watches every episode and tears them apart, is just gonna be like, "Cats are stupid. Get a dog." We have a dog, but so cats are cool. But back to you and your wrestling fandom. With your dad and grandpa, did they take you to any live events? Were you able to go to any indie shows, the WWE house shows, or anything like that?
Well, when I was younger, no. I do remember when WCW came to my area and my dad and my uncle went.
Oh,
And
okay,
he came back with a NWO belt for me, like the
nice.
spray painted NWO belt. I wish I still had it. I did buy a replica years
Okay,
later, but I still wish I had that one. I
right.
didn't start going to house shows myself until I was a lot older,
Okay.
came to the area. And I know also when they would come when I was in college, even though I didn't have the funds to go to a house show, we would try and catch them at like the Waffle House and things like
Okay.
that after a show. But I never got lucky. I never got to meet anybody. I've had some friends that said that they met Batista.
Okay.
Um, my really close friend, he has a picture that he took with Kofi Kingston just from him sitting on like the entrance.
Hmm.
area when the last time WWE came to my area, and I
Okay.
thought that was cool. So one day I'm gonna get that picture. I don't know who it's gonna be with, but I'm gonna meet a superstar.
Okay. So
So
you haven't met any superstars at this time. Okay.
no,
No.
but
Okay.
that's what I'm working towards.
Okay. There
My
you go.
goal in life one day is to do media work for WWE or a wrestling promotion. So just to be around those superstars and get to post and film and take
Hmm.
pictures, I would love that.
Well, I'm not gonna like say anything could happen, but the nice thing with Friends of the Squared Circle is that we like to broadcast our friends and show off our friends. And I know we have a few photographers and writers and stuff that I have had on. I can send you their social media stuff, and who knows, maybe just by reaching out, they give you again tips and tricks to
Right.
continue to build your brand. And that's what it's about. Like we
Yeah.
all want a piece of this social media pie. Me, I always say I don't want to be rich and famous, but it would be cool to get a little bit money coming in from this so that I can continue to buy things for people, send out stickers,
Yeah.
and all that. But I don't need to be a bazillionaire as much as it would be nice. It
Yeah.
would just be nice to have a little bit of extra money so that the wife doesn't, end up, telling me I have to stop doing this because we're going into the red because I'm constantly, putting stuff into the vendor table versus the bills. The lights are on, folks. Don't worry. But so, is there a big independent scene around you that you're familiar with, or is that something that you don't really attend as independent?
Not really. Not
Okay.
that I've seen promotions for it. Cause see, I'm in the Carolinas, South Carolina to be exact.
Hmm.
But we don't really have a huge indie scene. I wish we did because I would love to go and not have to travel. I'm actually thinking about traveling to this indie show in Georgia. I think
Okay.
it's next weekend. It's the Say It Loud, and they're supposed to be promoting like some different African American wrestlers for Black
Okay.
History,
Okay.
doing matches and things like that. So I like the indie scene. It's just here where I'm located is not prevalent, but we do get AEW and WWE
Okay.
a good amount of time. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Sting's match is going to be like in Greenville. Last match is going to be like in Greenville or something.
Is that
So
North Carolina or South Carolina? I'm not too familiar with cities.
I think it's going to be in North.
Okay.
I think it's going to be in Greenville, North Carolina.
Because I
Because
got
I
a few buddies in North Carolina that have been on the show too. Again, send you their information, and they have a beautiful thing. I don't want to speak on it too much, only because I'm not educated and I don't know the correct name, but I think it's called Heels, and it's for women to go to wrestling shows together. I will get you that information. Mongo and Emily from Cruising with Kayfabe, they are huge AEW fans. They have been on the Jericho Cruise pretty much every time since the second one, and they just got back. They also have a podcast. And Emily, she's part of that Heels group, I believe it's called, where it's a group for women to attend wrestling events together. And I believe you actually get to meet superstars with that package. So I'll send you that. Shout out to those guys over there. But yeah, it's got to be probably harder for a female fan to go alone, I would assume.
yeah,
But I don't want to assume, because you're going to a place where it's mostly male dominated. I know up here at First Wrestling, everyone's accepted. Everyone, we have a group called Friends, First Wrestling Family. You just put in the chat like you're going. People link up and meet. And that's the crazy thing about our promotion is that everybody is so accepted. Uh, you know, uh, as long as you're a wrestling fan and you have great core values, they take you in. So they allow me to post on their page, to promote the podcast as well. But I'm sure there's a bigger scene out there that you might not be aware of. But with North Carolina right there, there's a
yeah.
lot of talent out there. So
It's a lot, and that's
mhm,
why I started like doing TikToks and things like
mhm,
that because of things like heels. I want to get more women into wrestling and not
mhm.
just think that, oh gosh, it's just fighting all the time, and there's
Yep.
no, it's just senseless and it's fake and this and that. No, it's actually very engaging
Hmm.
storylines, and if you like the drama of it all,
Hmm.
some of the stuff behind the scenes that take place
Yeah.
can be more,
Recently, yeah.
yeah, can be more entertaining than anything you see on a
Mhm.
reality show, and you get to see the full fight without somebody breaking it up.
Right. Right. Yeah. And like you said, getting more women involved. My buddy has mentioned, how his daughter is really excited about it because there's more female wrestling. She's very shy, and she thought it was cool that there's female referees as well. So that's another avenue besides just announcing and being an arm candy, as like we had mentioned. And some of the women, they tear down better than the men. It's crazy the evolution of women's wrestling. How it
Yes.
used to be considered a bathroom break,
Yeah.
and now it is like I gotta wait. Like I
Yeah.
gotta watch Becky and Bianca just tear it down.
Right. And headline at WrestleMania and
Right?
other events. Like, we went from having gravy matches, gosh, to headlining and female wrestlers actually winning ESPY awards and
Hmm.
athlete of the year awards and things of that nature. So women wrestling has truly progressed, and I am here for it. And like I said, that's why I want to bring women in, and I don't want them to think, I know there is, I wouldn't say a stigma, but if you are a woman that enjoys wrestling, they don't feel like you could be feminine in it. But ye- I'm as feminine as they come. But I love wrestling, and one promotion I really love is WoW. The
Okay. Yep.
I love it. I used to watch it with my grandma before she passed,
Hmm.
and where we would watch it, the quality wasn't that good. It'd come on at like 11 or 12 o'clock after the
Hmm.
news, and it would be staticky, but we enjoyed watching it and seeing like the things that women can actually do when
Right.
competing.
Right.
Like, so I could just extend that out and just get that message out, and that you can enjoy wrestling. It can still be a feminine thing.
Yeah. And a lot of the women, are bringing more eyes to the product because of the wrestling side of it. Now,
Yeah.
yes, the glitz and glam, that also helps bring male media, but
Yeah.
when you see, like those early days of Sasha and Bailey, just tearing it down, you want to see the next match. And they're
Yeah.
doing a lot of firsts because it hasn't been done before, like the cage matches, the elimination chamber, the Royal Rumbles. They're getting the opportunity to have these first, and it's getting even more eyes because it's like, oh, we've never seen a women's ladder match that
Yeah.
was taken seriously versus just a bright pink ladder that was painted and put in the middle of the ring till the finish. Now they're diving off of that thing. They're using it as a weapon. They're beating the
Moonsault.
holy crap out of each other. Yeah. And a lot of their merchandise is selling up there with the men. Becky Lynch, action
Yes.
figures. Everybody's collecting action figures. And I find it cooler and more respectful when a male brings an action figure to get signed versus like the swimsuit catalogs they used to sell, and I'm just like, bro, how can you be walking around with that and plop that in front of her? Like, I get it, it's not derogatory, but I just feel like there's better pictures you could have
And I
for
think
your collection.
time with management in the WWE and other wrestling promotions, like you said, it was that stigma of bathroom break. So they
Yep.
felt like they had to sell that type of material to get a fan base. But
Yep.
one thing I can say from my TikToks, which are like largely male fan base, they are
Hmm.
so supportive. They're so nice. I've yet to run into anybody that was just demeaning or rude or
Hmm.
nasty or creepy or anything like that. they have been some of the best supporters that I've had since I started on this journey. And that was one of the things that I was worried about. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start talking about wrestling. And they're going to say, girl, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But once I started posting and showing them, like, yeah, I know. The level of respect has been wonderful. And it's made me feel good. And it's been keeping me going this far.
Yep. Just drop it. Like, I've been in the game since the VHS days, like,
Right.
I mean, that is such an archaic thing to say. I still collect some VHSs. I got some mostly Disney and stuff, but I'm eventually hopefully going to find those old school wrestling ones. But yeah, being a fan now has a lot of fun, and then there's a lot of toxicity, between the AEW and the WWE, and people just need to get over it. If it's not your cup of tea, just keep strolling,
And that's the thing. I kind of get the whole, well, I grew up on WWE allegiance, but that's one wonderful thing I loved about watching wrestling with my father. We watched different promotions. Like, we flipped back and forth between WCW and WWE during those wars. We watched TNA when they had like the 6-sided ring when Dixie Carter would come out. Like, I watched WoW, Women of Wrestling, like I said before. Even now, we watch AEW. He watches it a little more than me because I do a lot of streaming. But still, like, every promotion has something to offer. And with the Straight Through the Ropes podcast that I work with now, one of our co-hosts, Slim, he's been putting us on to New Japan Wrestling.
Okay.
And they are really going at it in these matches.
Yep.
Like,
that strong style, yeah.
Or below, no kind of. Sometimes I'm like, are they really just selling that good, or are they really duking it out? Because I can't tell. So, not being locked into one promotion really expands storytelling. It expands being introduced to new talent, and I'm here for that.
And I always say, like, if you have to compare numbers, compare houses, compare storylines, and constantly just compare it to each other and stuff, it's like you're losing your fandom. You're buying too much into things that don't really matter to you because you're not the owner, you're not the one running the show. You're not top brass there, and you're not a talent. Just focus on the wrestling, enjoy the wrestling. If you don't like it, well, hopefully it gets better the next week. I mean, we all live through some, goose eggs ourselves, but we're not posting on the internet every single day about it,
I think that audience, because they grew up with like ECW and WCW, and they were two prominent promotions. Not saying that AEW or TNA are not, but I guess especially where WCW concerned, that was a real competition. They interacted, like when DX came outside of the WCW when they were wrestling,
rolling down in the Jeep.
Seeing things like that, I think I'm not gonna say we were spoiled growing up watching those things, but we actually got to see some wonderful pieces of history. And the upside with nostalgia is you have wonderful memories, but the downside is you have these wonderful memories, but sometimes you can get locked in and expect new things to revert back to the old. Even with WWE, for example, if you grew up in the Attitude Era, a lot of people's critique is, oh, it's not gritty enough. Oh, they don't do this, they don't do that. And I feel like that's the same critique with other promotions. Like, oh, AEW is trying to be WCW, but they can never be WCW. And I get the nostalgia part, but you remember, that's not WCW, and WWE is not WWF. So I think a lot of fans, once they let go of that nostalgia, well, not even let it go, but kind of curb their expectations
Hmm.
due to the nostalgia that they have from watching wrestling during the Attitude Era, they'll be able to embrace newer promotions.
Yeah, it's like comparing it to the Ninja Turtle movies that had just came out, where it was more CGI than the animatronic puppets.
Hmm.
Everybody was mad because they didn't look correctly. Well, you have to evolve to sell new merchandise. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And with wrestling, I like to think is WWE is the circus. When it comes to town, everybody wants to go to the circus. They
Hmm.
want to see the big show, under the tents, under the lights. Whereas AEW is the actual, where the diehard wrestling fans will go, because it's wrestling. It's not the production. It's not the sports entertainment. And that's how I kind of see the. Sorry, I got a little glitch here. Um, the two promotions. One is the circus. Everybody wants to go see the circus, where AEW is the local actual wrestling show where wrestling fans are going to go, because that is where they, put their allegiance into more than the circus, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like when a concert rolls through town, and it's a big name, celebrity, let's just say Taylor Swift. Everybody's going to go because it's a once in a lifetime possibly opportunity to go see Taylor Swift. Kind of like WWE is. Like, oh well, they have The Rock, they have Stone Cold. They have these people that are in movies and stuff. I want to go see a movie star. Or Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman's going to be on the show tonight. Well, I want to go see Hugh Jackman. So
Yeah. And that's a very valid point. I never thought of it like that, but you're right. A lot of the people that I know that are strictly AEW, they are huge fans of the craft of
mhm.
wrestling and not just the glitz and glamour and, how can I put it, Hollywood aspect of
Yeah,
wrestling. They
yep,
want to see, they like storylines and they like good matches. And
yep.
AEW, they do a good job at that. I know some of their matches sometimes can be a tad bit botchy, but that happens when you're growing and
Hmm.
you're learning. And I feel like they do have some of the vets in place to help with that, like
Hmm.
Edge, well, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, Chris Jericho, those names that help kind of mentor those younger wrestlers, and look at what's happening. They're mentoring them. They're growing, and then sometimes they go to WWE.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and the other thing too is, I think with WWE is they have a formula that they have run for 20 years, where AEW is like, okay, you're kind of on your own, get out there and do it. Versus, having someone kind of, I'm sure there's people now, but like having people saying, okay, let's hold off on that because we need to sell this idea, where it's
yeah,
more of just kind of like, all right, you're in control of your freedom and creativity, go out and do your thing, and we'll piece it together. Whereas WWE, it just kind of made sense a few years ago, where they had, Shane McMahon going with Big Show doing the Jack and the Beanstalk type thing, big full thumb, dumb giant, and then fast forward to 20 some years when, next thing you know, it's Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon doing basically the same type of storyline,
yeah,
not verbatim, but it had a lot of the same context,
yeah.
and then now you're seeing more storylines from back then that are kind of coming back because it worked back then. It's like they're recycling the same, uh,
Storyline.
stories,
And
but then they're just changing the components in that story.
yeah.
Whereas AEW is, I feel like, still trying to figure out what they have.
Hmm.
And they do have a lot of talented wrestlers. They
They
just need to, get them kind of all on the same page. And then a lot of people complain because then it's like 2, 3 weeks before they're on TV again. It's like, well, how many indie dates do they have in between? How many injuries? Are they in trouble? Like, think of those things when someone's not on TV. The injuries, having
Yeah.
another appearance they have to attend to. Because I'm sure Roman ain't just sitting home 4 days a week when he's not on TV. He's probably
Yeah.
out at some local radio station plugging the upcoming pay per view, and then he's on like some local syndicate news channel, or he's probably doing other things. He's not just sitting in his tour bus for 4 days driving to the next town. Because when you are the champion, you have to promote your brand. You have to be
Yeah.
out there doing these media appearances. And he's probably doing charity work where they
Yeah.
don't post his picture because they don't want people showing up and
Yeah.
ruining for the
The
people
people.
that are there. And then think of a sponsored event. Say they're trying to lock down Coca-Cola as a
Yeah.
sponsor for the next pay-per-view. Roman's in some factory or warehouse with all these Coke executives signing autographs and doing all this stuff to win over those people to be like, yeah, this was really cool. We really like what you did. Yeah, we're going to sponsor that next pay per view, so. And you
And
can't
see,
tell the fans anything because they'll ruin it, so.
yeah. And see, I guess with my marketing background, all of that stuff resonates with me.
Mhm.
And it makes me think about something that Ric Flair mentioned. He was asked in an interview a while back, how did he feel about wrestlers now being able to take time off? Oh, when Triple H let them take Christmas off. And
Mhm.
he was saying, he was just talking about how much wear and tear constantly going on the road
Mhm.
does for your body, that he's glad someone's in place to say, okay, let's give them a break. Let's give the
Right.
champ a break. Let's do this. Because, like you said, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't know that
Yep.
they have to do. Not including training and trying to
Yep.
spend time with your
Yep.
family, but you have to travel, like you said, riding on a tour bus
Yep.
for days to get from one place to another. If you have to go and do some sort of representation for marketing purposes, you have
Yep.
to go to that. If you got asked to go to appear on a show or a nighttime show like I know I don't think he's on anymore, but like a Jay Leno or something
Yep.
like that, you have to do all of that, and that's wear and tear on your body outside of the ring, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, because a lot of
And then
those things take a whole day to shoot, not just the
yeah,
15 minutes they're there. They're not just walking in the door, sit down, here's your interview. It's like, all right, we got to run through from the top to the bottom, and then we'll have you come out in 2 to 3 hours when it's your turn. So they're sitting in a production truck going, well, I guess I can interview with Chris Van Lay while I wait for my, sound check, so.
yes, her 100% correct. So I mean, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So
No, because if he's on TV every night, someone's mad. If he's not on TV every night, someone's mad. There's an image out there that I like to use as a reference where elderly couple is walking a donkey, and people are chastising them, thinking, "Oh, why can't they ride the donkey? They'd get there faster." And then the next frame, the woman is riding and the man is leading the donkey, and then she's selfish because she's making her husband walk. And then the
yeah,
next frame, it's the husband on the donkey, and then he's the jerk. He's letting that poor old lady walk, and he's heavier than the woman, so the donkey's taking the brunt. And then they're both on it. Then they're worried about the donkey, and it's just it's any
yeah,
way you present anything, people are going to complain. And I kind of bring up the Jeff Hardy thing a lot too, where he had his demons, as a lot of these wrestlers that I read in the books behind me. And that's another reason people are off TV for mental health, illnesses, and stuff. And people don't take that into consideration, that we are all just people. We
yes,
all eat the same. We all breathe the same. And if they're in trouble backstage, and they can't go on, I'm sure there's somebody, it happened at TNA, no one caught it, but, that says, you're not fit to do this. Now we have to scramble to put something else out there. And then next thing you know, it's, oh, well, they don't use Jeff Hardy properly. Well, what did Jeff Hardy do backstage that's preventing him from being in the ring? Like, So it's just a whole ball of worms that people don't seem to get. They just expect everyone to be there on TV. So
Yeah, like that when you were talking about Jeff, like that match with Sting when he
mhm.
came out, they had to change the ending and all of that. And a lot of people that were in attendance was upset because they built that match up and I think it was
Yep,
over within like a few minutes. But it
yep,
was for his safety.
yep,
Ultimately, it was for his safety.
yep.
But we as fans, I guess, because we see them on stage, well, on the canvas night after night doing
Mhm.
larger than life things, we build them up to be larger than life, not realizing they're human just like us and they have
Yep,
struggles just like us. And like you said, eat just like we eat.
yep.
So,
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of bugs me too is when people say buried or jobbed, and it's just like you're not seeing the big picture. Like it's not their time yet. And I always like to bring in two sports things where Triple H is, say, a 16-time or 15-time champion, whatever he is, and then you have somebody that's not even won a championship. Of course, the guy that has all these accolades should win because he knows what he's doing. He's the veteran. It only makes sense that that wins. It's kind of like in football when the Patriots were so dominant. The Jets might squeak one by, but 9 times out of 10, the Patriots are going to beat the crap out of the New
yeah,
York Jets because they're the established team, you know. Um, and if a wrestler loses, it's just like they're instantly just jobbed or buried. It's like, no, no, no. He got to work with the main event talent. He's
yes,
in the premier spot. He's on the effing poster.
yes,
He's on the t-shirts. He's on the plaques that WWE sells. He's on
yeah,
the damn truck. He's not buried. He's on TV every night. Folks, he's okay. He's making money. He's just working through a story. You know, he's not buried. Like everybody was so mad with the LA Knight thing. It's just like, calm down, pump the brakes. He'll get there. But right now, there's a bigger story playing out, which is Cody's and the bloodline
yeah,
and all that that they're trying to get to. They're not just going to be like, well, you know, everybody likes LA, so we'll just stop what we're doing
you
because
know,
you, the fans, want this, and we'll give it to LA Knight, but we have nothing for the next 6 months for him wrote up. So, but you guys said you like him a lot, so we're just going to stop this whole mega storyline that's been going on for 3 years and give LA the title because you know you guys know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like it's like yeah, and everybody
so
brings up Daniel Bryan and his swerve of things. It's like, well, yeah, but Daniel was still wrote into that storyline going forward. It wasn't just okay. We need to get Daniel the win, and then when they wouldn't give him the win, look how many more people got behind him. So it's just like they
yeah,
knew what they were doing. Same with what they're doing with LA Knight. He lost, but more people are getting behind him because supposedly WWE is burying him. No, 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 no. They're making him into a star. You're just not seeing it. You know, as more as
that's
he loses, more
important.
people are jumping on that train, and that's why his merchandise is so high. Is because more people are getting behind it because they're getting sick of seeing him lose, and then when he wins, who's going to make all the money? WWE and LA Knight, and he's going to have the strap around his waist. I don't see the buzz, but anywho, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Let it fester, you know.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how much talent development helps. Like just using Triple H for example, the transformations that he constantly had to go through to get to the
Mm-hmm.
cerebral assassin.
Yep.
Because I remember when he was the pedigree Hunter Hearst Hemsley
Uh,
walking out and with the Mozart music.
yep.
Yeah, that stuff takes time, and not even to mention them having to go, is it OVO or OVW, where Al Snow does a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
development, going through things like that. It really takes time. I when
Yep.
I was younger, I thought that you just came out. No, you have to develop your craft, develop yourself on the mic, like you said, they have to, once you're developed or while in the process of developing, they have to cultivate storylines that they can find you in that can get you
Yep.
over. I know some people get over by a fluke, like a lot of people say LA Knight just got over just because. But even with that, that takes time. I'm pretty sure he has been practicing,
Yep.
working on the mic, going back and forth about things that he was going to say, things that he wasn't going to say. All that stuff takes a lot of time, practice, and dedication. And I don't see, you know, someone getting buried
Yeah.
after doing all of that work. I'm not gonna say that it's never happened because I've
That.
heard
Yep.
crazy stuff.
Yep.
But like you said, with people like LA Knight, for example, they're winning.
Yeah.
And you can see that they're prepping them to be the next big thing.
Hmm.
Once they get through these storylines and things that they have with people that are already over. It's a building process.
Yeah, and they don't have to come from NXT and automatically win the world title either.
Yeah.
Just because you win a high school championship doesn't mean you're going to win a college championship and a Super Bowl
Yeah.
within the next 2 years. Sorry. And the other thing too is that I touch on is with him losing and fighting this uphill battle, what they're doing again, which a lot of people don't see, is they're building the highlight video for that future. Let's just say WrestleMania. Prime example, Becky Lynch beat Bianca in 24 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
What was that story going into the next SummerSlam? Oh, last year, Becky came out and beat Bianca in 24 seconds.
Yeah.
And that video package
And now she has
built
to
that match. And then Bianca beat Becky. Everybody lost their mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it has to develop. Sometimes it takes a short time, some takes it a year, And that's why, like, when, say, Sasha and Charlotte were sharing the belts back and forth at multiple pay-per-views, they would lose it on a pay-per-view. But then a few years later, it's like, oh, Becky Lynch's record excuse me, I said Charlotte and Baylor. I don't remember who I said, but has won multiple times at the Hell in the Cell, won the title multiple times, and she's coming in as the challenger. So she knows this, this match. Like, this is her go-to match to win, so it's building up the story.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had to pancake a lot of those girls with a lot of titles to give them credibility. So when the next group came in, like say, trying to think of all the women talent, there's so many running through my mind. Like, say Rhea coming up to challenge Flair. She's already a 5-time champion. Rhea's never won, so it's building the mountain that Rhea has to climb. And now look where Rhea is. She lost to her at WrestleMania. She came back and beat her at WrestleMania. And now Rhea is like one of the biggest, is the biggest superstar, I think, in WWE right now, with Becky just this much behind. Only because Becky's doing some other things right now till she gets that main event push again. But, like, it all takes time,
It does.
Yeah, and you, like you said, you do marketing and advertising. Now imagine I'm your superstar and you put me on the production truck. You're putting me on the billboards. You're putting me on the milk cartons, the Skittles. And then here comes, LA Knight. And we just did all this advertising and my face is everywhere. You're not going to say, hey, boss, we got someone that's a little bit more popular. Can we take down the billboard, the Skittles, and the milk cartons right now that we just spent $300 million on and just put this new guy on there? No, you don't want to change it, but this guy's more famous right now. But it's only going to cost us another $300 million. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do that.
Understand that they're so finicky that could be over one day and not the next.
Yep.
So that would be a disservice to, like you were using LA Knight for that example, to post LA Knight on everything, and then for some reason the fans are like, you know what? Let's boost up Drew.
Yeah, let's talk about Drew.
And then boom.
Yep.
Money wasted. So WWE has been at it for so long that they have that art of long-term storytelling
Mhm.
and how to weather the storm when it comes to superstars and who they promote and who they secondary promote and things of that nature.
Yep.
So they are okay.
Yeah,
They're
it's
okay.
just like like say the local football teams, the Packers and the Panthers and all them. The lower tier guys are going to do a lot more of that media stuff because
Mm-hmm.
the big stars have to handle the other stuff. So yeah, you're going to meet the lower tier, NXT people
Mm-hmm.
because we need to fill this obligation, but that sponsorship doesn't really bring us a lot of money. Whereas Coca Cola, yeah, we're going to put Roman over there, and we're going to put Ilya, at the local fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who's bringing in more money? Kind of thing. And before we wrap this up here quickly, uh, I just lost my question. But why don't we plug those socials real quick? I'll try to remember that question here.
Okay.
But
They can You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram. My handle is at Lele4260. I'm on the Straight Through the Rope podcast. We we stream every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. We stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We should be switching over to like Spotify and stuff, if I'm not
very
mistaken.
nice.
I could be wrong on that. So our main host Brian knows more about that. But and you can follow the Straight Through the Ropes page on Instagram, Straight Through the Ropes on YouTube. Well, I think the Straight Through the Ropes is under Brian Beeline Entertainment, but I'm gonna
Okay.
do more about posting because I do our social media for that
Okay.
page and stuff as well. And you can find us on Facebook, Straight Through the Ropes, Russell Talk. So reach out. We're trying to grow, expand. We're enjoying it, just talking about wrestling, all things wrestling. So between that and like I said, my page, Lele4260, TikTok, Lele4260, give me a follow.
Perfect, perfect. And we'll try to get those socials up on the video as well as on the Friends and Squirt Circle Facebook so you can all find them a little easier. The question was with social media and Logan Paul. People complain that he's only kind of on like the big shows. People complain that he's, winning or he's doing this and that. I feel that that's great marketing because you have a guy who has millions of followers uh, in a prime event. Anybody that he works with gets clicks, gets likes. I mean, what did they say about Ricochet and him in that one match? The most talked about or
Tweeted.
interaction with that photo of him and
Yep.
Ricochet in flight. That's another good reason for social media.
Yes.
Um, so, how do you feel about Logan Paul kind of dominating in uh, social media as well with WWE there?
I like it just off the strength of what you were saying. Anybody who faces him automatically grows organically on social media. They
Yep.
don't have to buy any ads or anything. They just grow simply because they're facing Logan Paul and because of the following that he has. And one thing that people have to understand about social media is businesses now need social media to grow. From small businesses to even mega conglomerates like
Mhm.
TKO and WWE. You cannot be disconnected from your fans on socials. You simply cannot. So bringing in Logan Paul to raise their social media posts to get more exposure even on that match, because if you see that match and you like it, you're more than likely to scroll through and say, who else was on the card that night?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I've never seen Bianca Belair before. Oh my gosh, what is she doing? What
Yep.
did she just do? Oh my goodness, why are they turning on Bailey? Who is that?
Yep.
Like social media, especially organic growth, where you don't have to pay for a ad or anything like that. that getting that free engagement, any business, no matter how big or small they are, they're going to try their best to get it. And Logan Paul provides that.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they're setting it up eventually for him to lose, and the internet is gonna go crazy.
Yep, and it also elevates Kevin Owens as a bigger babyface. You
Yes.
know, it there's always moving parts that'll, you know, I
Yes.
like to kind of joke that us podcasters like to think we know more than we know. You know what I mean? And I pout off about things that I feel that regular people don't know, but I'm sure there's someone watching this going, "This kid has no clue about
What-
that," which is rightfully so, because I am in the wrestling community, but I'm not in the wrestling community. I am a part of it, but I'm not in it. Yes, I do vendor tables. I get to come in the back door with the talent and talk with them before setup, and watch that. But I am not in the business. I am a part of the business. I promote the business, but I'm not in the business. So I don't see the inner workings. Now, whereas a wrestler, they probably look at a lot of this stuff and think, oh, geez, what are they talking about now? I just like to think that us podcasters know more than we know, think we know more than we know. And I will say I don't know everything, but I feel like I have a different perspective of things. But there's always going to be somebody else watching this saying, this dude doesn't have a clue about what he's talking about, which is rightfully so, because I probably don't. And I feel like podcasters need to remember that when they say wrestlers aren't very good or they suck or they're horrible humans. You're seeing a small glimpse of what they are. And, you know, I try to tell some friends when you chastise them about little things, spelling or tweeting and yada, 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 you're doing those things too. How is it fair for you to go after $1 billion company and correct their mistakes? Because I can't spell half the stuff or forget words in my sentences all the time. Who am I to say, like, you know, WWE can't spell banner correctly because I can't spell correctly? You know what I mean? So, as fans and promoters and podcasters, relax, enjoy the craft, talk about what we love, and that is professional wrestling. So, any last thing before we get you out of here, Lay?
Just again, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Mhm.
So anytime you want me back, I will be happy to.
Yes, I didn't even have to be like, you should totally come back. She's already ready to come back, folks. A new friend to the Friends of the Squared Circle. So
yes, I am a friend of a friend of a friend of the Squared Circle now.
There we go. We'll have to get you some stickers. We're pumping those out right now. Send you some that stuff. You can slap it on your garbage cans or your dartboard. So if you need some practice to throwing things at. All right, Lay, I want to thank you again for coming on. Hopefully we can continue to get you on. A lot of fun, a lot of insight. I love the social media aspect of it. So it's great to kind of tap into that with you. And again, thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle. It's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out.